Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Dwight D'nilla Woods, also known as Dr. Marketingstein, and today we're going to be talking about branding and how to build a powerful brand. So let's talk. Today we're going to have a really good conversation about branding. I don't care if you are a new business, an established business, who are looking to rebrand, but we are going to talk about it today. This is not like one of those regular type of educational one-way podcasts. It's a community conversation. So please come on in and let's talk about this. Just for you to know, I will be on here more with these topics, covering these topics about building a business. And of course, you know, we can share information and try to grow our businesses the best way that we can. And today's topic comes from Shawn Anderson. She gave me this idea, so I'm using this as the first topic in the series, and it's branding your business. So Shawn Anderson over at Franchise Box. Yes, Franchise Box. Check her out on Facebook, Instagram, and all of those things. Shout out to you for giving me this idea. So let's get it started without further ado. If you don't catch it now, catch it on a replay and share it with somebody because it'll be a very important information. So the first thing I want to do, I got some notes here so I won't just be going off the fly, because when you talk about marketing, it's so much to marketing. So the first thing I want to do is read this and break down this definition that I have for branding. So branding is the process of creating a unique identity for your business or product in the minds of customers. So I'm going to stop right there. It says it's a process of creating a unique identity for a business or a product in the minds of customers. So what does that mean? If your brand exists in the minds of customers, do you think all of your customers think the exact same thing about your brand? Probably not. So that very well can mean that you have hundreds, thousands, or even possibly millions of brands that exist in the people's mind. It encompasses everything that distinguishes a company from its competitors, including its name, logo, design, messaging, and overall customer experience. So when you're branding, one of the goals that you should have is to bring elements into your brand personality that make you stand out and show why you're different and show why your product or service should be on top of mind or should be the one that you go to when you need this service, because there's other people that's doing the exact same thing that you're doing, but you want to stand out. And the last thing that particular sentence said is the overall customer experience. That's why your brand exists in the heads of customers, because they only could go by their interaction and their customer experience, and everyone's customer experience could be different. So the goal of branding is to establish a significant and different presence in the market that attracts and retains loyal customers. So let's dig into this. Now, how do we establish this branding? So I guess we could start with the 5 key components of branding. The 5 key components that I'll be going over is brand identity, brand image, brand positioning, brand voice and messaging, and then the brand experience. So I'll be going over these 5 points. Now, this is the time to take note. Okay, let's start with the brand identity. The brand identity, this includes the visual elements of a brand, such as the logo, color scheme, typography, and the packaging. Is the outward expression of a brand. Now, let's break down the brand identity and use some examples. Let's use an example of a very popular brand. Let's pick on Apple. So with the brand identity, their whole deal is their products and their hardware has very sleek design, and then they have this iconic Apple logo that anyone could recognize. And then they have what's known as a minimalist aesthetic. The brand image is perceived as innovative, premium and user-friendly. And then the brand positioning is a leader in technology and innovation. So we'll get into all of those things, but the brand identity, like I said, includes the visual elements of a brand, such as the logo, color scheme, typography, and packaging. And then we have what's called the brand image. This is the perception of the brand in the minds of the customers. It's how customers view you and interpret the brand's identity and offerings. Now, I'll give you an example. We all know the service that Comcast offers, which is home cable television. But if anyone remember, there was a time that if you ask a person about Comcast and you said, what's the first thing that comes to mind? They would say, poor customer service. Poor customer service. This is an example of a huge brand having a negative perception on their services, and it was through the actual customer service part. Of course, usage issues would happen, but those technical things happen. But it's the customer service that gave them a bad name. So much so, it's led to believe that they went into a rebranding phase and came up with the name Xfinity, because the name Comcast was bogged down with so many negative complaints and so much negative perception on the brand. So brand image is very, very important. Brand positioning. This involves positioning the brand in the market to stand out from competitors. It's about finding a unique place in the market and in consumers' mind. So what do that mean? How could you find a unique positioning in customers' minds, especially if you're in a field or industry that's saturated? How could you stand out? I'll give you an example of brand positioning and how it involves standing out from your competitors. When you go to any store on any given day, you might go to a gas station and you walk up to the cooler. Now today, you might see up to 10 bottles of water available. Now, how do you choose which one of these bottles of water do you want based on their brand position? Okay, so you're standing there and you're looking at these 10 bottles of water. And you're thirsty, it's hot outside, and you just want a cold glass of water. And you're looking at all of the brands. And then you come across, let's say, Fuji. And you pick up the Fuji water. And you look at the bottle and you say to yourself, it's shaped different than all of these other bottles. And then you read it and it tells you about where it comes from and the springs and all of those things. And then you also see ice melt, and it lets you know that it's natural spring water. It does this, that, and the other, and it comes from these springs and it does this. And then you see a product at the end, and it has which bottled water is it? That has the mountains. When you look through the bottle, you can see the mountains in the background and the ice cap. So all of these things are resonating with you. But then there's one bottle that says, with every purchase of this bottle of water, we would donate 1 cent to cause A or cause B. Now that's something that none of the other bottles says. So at this point, you just might find a connection. Yes, you're thirsty. Yes, all of the bottles are very similar in price. At this point, you realize all of them are spring water, but one of them give to a cause that you're interested in or that you have a compassion about. So this might be one of the reasons why you buy that bottle of water, is because they let you know, yes, we are on the shelves with all of these other companies as a bottle of water. Our utility is to quench your thirst. But not only does we quench your thirst, but when you buy a bottle of water, we help someone else on the planet, and we donate this amount of money for this particular cause. And so this company is not only showing you that they have a human bone in their body because they're supporting a cause, It just might be a cause that you believe in, and that might make you want to buy that bottle of water. And then let's go to number 4, brand voice and messaging. Now, the brand voice and messaging is very important. That's the tone, the style, and the messages communicated by the brand across all channels. And it reflects the brand's personality and values. Now, that part is huge. A lot of folks probably don't realize how important the tone, style, and messaging that's communicated about that brand, how important that is. Because it does reflect the brand's personality and values. Now, it's sort of just like real life. People, based on your style, a lot of the times, based on the things you say, especially nowadays, based on your tone and your personality in your personal life, that's how people decide if they're going to like you or not, if they can resonate with what you're trying to do. So just think of the same thing for your business. And excuse me, yeah, I'm drinking from my Chicago cup that I made when I first moved up here, and it seems like I might have to be adding the Chicago sky. And so we can, I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to go back to Apple and pick on Apple to give you an example of how they portray themselves in all 5 of these scenarios. And then number 5, the brand experience. Every interaction a customer has with the brand, from visiting the website to contacting customer service to using the product. So that's the overall brand experience. So that was me just kind of breaking down the 5 key elements of branding. So just remember, no matter what you choose to go with all of these things, the 5 key elements of branding, I'll say it once again, which is brand identity, brand image, brand positioning, brand voice and message, and brand experience. Okay? So now I'm going to show you some examples in all 5 of those, and I'm going to use that Apple as an experience, as an example. Okay, so we're going to go back to the brand identity, and we're using Apple for an example. All right, let's get it going. Now, what I'm about to go over is some examples of how Apple, one of the most popular and recognizable brands on the planet, how they play into the 5 key components of branding. So we're going to start with brand identity. The brand identity is very modern. It's like, I'm hip, I'm cool, this is what it is, we're next level. They're known for their sleek designs, the iconic Apple logo. Now that's, when I say iconic Apple logo, that means that if you see this logo anywhere on earth, and it does not have to be attached to an Apple product, you'd recognize it right away. And they have what's called a minimalist aesthetic. They use a lot of white space. When you see the logo, there's not a lot of crowded information, so that you can digest that iconic logo and know what it means. Then the brand image is perceived, like I said, as next level and innovative, and is also perceived as a premium brand. And last but not least, they put a lot of work into making their products user-friendly, which is huge. So that means that you can have a wider audience of participants and users if you have that user-friendly component. Now, brand positioning. Their position as a leader in technology and innovation. And how do they position themselves? Because every now and then, in between the times when they're releasing a new product, releasing a new iPhone, releasing a new iPad, or releasing any technology, they keep themselves in the news about what they're working on, what's their next generation of products that they're working on. So they always keep the news in front of you that they're working on something. What's up, peace? I'm glad y'all can hear me. Okay, so now let's go to the brand voice. What type of brand voice do they have? It's a clean, sophisticated, and customer-centric message. So when I say clean, and the customer-centric, it's centered on the customers. It's everything that the customers want to know in that particular space. So that's their brand voice. The first word is clean. It's very clean and precise. And then let's talk about the brand experience. The brand experience is seamless. The user experience of all products and services. So it's a seamless experience, meaning there's a common denominator between all of the products and services that Apple uses to make these things seamless. So, whether it's your iPhone, your iPad, or your MacBook, all of those things are seamless to go from one hardware piece to another because of the way they build the designs and the way that they kind of all work together. So I'm going to go over what's the general explanation of branding. So in simpler terms, branding is like giving your business its own personality. That's exactly what it is. And just think in life basis. People with very good personalities tend to have a lot of friends. Or even if it's not having a lot of friends, a lot of people are receptive to that personality. People love great personalities, and that's exactly what branding is. It's personality for your business. Let's just talk regular life about how you perceive certain things. Let's take something strange like local government. Let's say you got to go to the DMV. Let's talk about the branding of the DMV. Okay? Reality versus desire. In reality, the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, want you to feel like, hey, we have a DMV that's near that can handle all of our needs when it comes to renewing our driver's license, getting a driver's license, administering a driver's license test, and all of these things. That's the positioning, and that's exactly what they do. But if you ask a person, depending on where they live, because all of this is kind of relative to where you live, and I'm from Chicago, so I wonder if anybody can bear with me on this. It's much different when I moved here to Minnesota, but in Chicago, if you ask a person about the DMV, what's the first thing that comes to mind? They're gonna say long ass lines, long ass wait times. The last thing they're gonna say, which is the elephant in the room, is I went there and I got my driver's license updated, or I went there and I had a driver's test. But if you say, hey, how was your experience at the DMV over there on 99th Street? They might say it was hot as hell outside. I had to stand in a very long line. The people were moving very slow, and they need to streamline some type of service to make this happen faster. So the reality of what they want you to believe versus the reality of what's happening, that's kind of how that goes. So it's almost like a person that says, hey, I'm a good person. I'm a solid dude. This is what I do. And this is, I'm on an up and up. And then you have an interaction with them, and they show you everything in opposite of that. And so when somebody say, hey, you met this person, what did you get from them? You tell them what you got from them. You want folks to have a great feeling in the presence of your brand. You want folks to feel as if the personality of your brand is a good personality to be around. So I'm going to give you an example. Another huge brand, Nike. The name and logo. The name Nike and the swoosh logo are instantly recognizable. Let's take the slogan. Just do it is memorable and inspiring. The look and feel. The advertisements always show you that anything is possible. In all of the advertisements, they have the athletes that's focused, motivated. And a lot of times they even show the action shots of what can be achieved if you took on the mentality of just do it. And which is something I want to get into as well. When you buy into a concept, I call it's like finding your tribe. Okay? How many people, and this is all related to the slogan, just do it, because that's a tribe of folks. Just do it is applicable in a lot of ways. How many people be postponing doing something, right? How many people are always thinking about doing something? Even like me, it took me a long time before I just took the time out and sat down outside of being busy to come on here and talk to you about branding. So sometimes I take cues from the universe, if that's what you want to call it. And if I'm in doubt about doing something, or if I'm hesitating or I'm procrastinating, because procrastination is assassination of what you're trying to do. The words "just do it" is very inspiring. It's one of those things. It's just so simple. It's just stop thinking about it, get out of your head, and just do it. So that's sort of a common thought that a lot of us can identify with. Now, the look and feel. So I'm talking about what I'm still expressing is the 5 key elements of branding. So I went over the way Apple does it, and I'm trying to explain to you Nike kind of accomplishes the same thing. So the slogan, "Just do it," that's memorable and inspiring. All of this stuff is how their brand is built up. So the look and feel of Nike advertisements, like I said, they're always motivational. It's always, a point of achievement. You're looking at the person in the gym preparing for the championship fights. You're looking at champions wearing Nikes. You're looking at, folks that are in the race when you look at those commercials. So it's very inspiring. So the experience when you wear the product, it makes the customer feels sporty and fashionable. So that's sort of how Nike is. So it makes you feel sporty and fashionable. I see LaShawn just checked in. LaShawn just checked in. Hello, thank you for checking in. And this, I'm not sure if you heard me when I started. I started a few minutes late, but this particular broadcast was inspired by you and mine. So that's why we're talking about branding today. And so, yeah, folks, grab your questions, drop you some questions here, and go check out Sean over at Franchise Box. She's an event planner. She's a miracle worker. She brings sunshine into a room. That's all I'm gonna say. Go check her out. So that's sort of what the top half, or the general overview, or the secret ingredients that everyone should kind of have when they're making a stew called. I'm going to pick on you, LaShawn. Do you have any questions? You have a beautiful brand that has a beautiful mission. Is there any questions that I can answer for you right away? Because that's what I'm here for. And by the way, once again, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dwight D'nilla Woods, but you can call me Dr. Marketingstein. This is the home of design, print, and brand wellness. So I can help you strengthen a brand, give birth to a brand, or redesign your brand. I am a marketer. I am not a guru. I am not a miracle worker. I am none of those things. I am you that has put in the work to find out exactly what can make a business work. I've been doing a form of marketing for a very long time. And so I go out, I find out the secrets, and I bring it back to my tribe. Who is my tribe? I have a huge tribe with different type of tribal members. My tribe, first and foremost, is the person with the abundant mindset. Okay, the person with the abundant mindset is my primary tribe, because we know that having an abundant mindset, that possibilities are endless. Possibilities are endless. No, your bank account funds may not be endless. No, your network may not be endless. No, your time on earth may not be endless. But what is endless is the possibility of things happening. And the quicker that we understand the possibility of anything can happen at any given time, that's when you have everything that the world has to offer. You just have to know that it's there to go get it. That's my first and primary tribe. My second tribe is folks who have made it happen based on their abundant mindset. Where I'm from, they call it getting it out the mud, making it from the dirt, making something from nothing, making $1 out of 15 cents. That's my tribe. Okay? And it just so happened that my tribes look like me, talk like me, speak like me, have the same feeling as me. And I'm not just talking about my accent. I'm talking about folks who want to get to the next level, and they do what it needs to be done to get to the next level. And I chose a way to get to the next level. The way I chose to get to the next level is business. I realized that having my own business opens up doors, and it also brings a self-worth. It brings a self-worth when you own something. So that's my tribe. And so I share with my tribe. If you have an abundant mindset, if you have a business, I would share the things that would strengthen us, because I believe that Black businesses, small businesses, minority businesses, BIPOC businesses, I don't care who you are, but if you have this mentality, I break down the silos. Let's share the information. And one of the reasons why I think marketing is important, and I'll get back to this branding the way I have it scripted here, is because the top three, there are studies from the Small Business Association that the top three killers of business, and when I say killers of business, I literally mean killers of business. Most businesses shut down in the first 3 to 5 years. The top three reasons for that is 1, the lack of capital. 2, the lack of research. You didn't go out and see if there's something that the world wanted or needed. And number 3 is the lack of marketing. No one knows that you exist. So I can't give you a bunch of money, and I can't sit with you when you come up with a product or service to research if your product or service is needed by the people, but I can share information to you about how to market your business, how to brand your business, and use those things to scale your business. Okay, so I think I have a question over here. My brother Dez is on deck, and he's asking about social media marketing agency. Okay. I used to be largely offer social media marketing. However, I dropped it from my services about 4 years ago, about 6 years ago, to be honest with you, because one, the social media landscape changes so much, and I'd like to be on the cutting edge of any activity that's happening in any facet of marketing. And one of the things that I was offering was paid ads and managing paid ads. And once it got to the point where pretty much the largest platforms got caught selling the best prime spaces for ads to the people with the biggest bucks, and that's just the way the world goes, I could not stand by a promise of a return. So I stopped having belief in the algorithms of social media marketing. It's a really, as far as paid ads go, it still has success to it, but it's so much funny business in it that when that election time happened and they found out that the Russians and all of these other folks or whoever was spending a lot of money to put messages in front of us, and those messages would make it to us before my paying customers' messages would make it to us, that's when, and I couldn't stand by those results, so that's when I kind of dipped from offering those things. So it's a very touchy ground when it comes to social media and having a promise, and I like to stand next to the things that I can do, and that's too far away from my control, or should I say too far away from what I can promise that I can produce, if that makes sense to you, Brother Dez. So no, I myself do not offer social media management or ads at least anymore, but I still do work as far as offering graphics, offering design ideas and all of those type of things, and even designing the ads and all of those type of things, coming up with copy, which is the words that's used in those ads. I do all of those things, but as far as managing the actual sites, no, I don't do that. Okay, so it looks like as far as that, Sean over at Franchise Box says she know how, but how do we make it profitable via popular? Okay. I want a little bit clarity on that, so you can make it a little bit more clear on that, what you mean by you know how, what particular thing. Okay, so I'm going to keep going for a minute here. Let's pick up to where we left off. I'm sorry I kind of went on my ramble, but hey, look, I'm going to be doing this a lot. And this is just part one of branding because it's so much to branding. This is part one, and I just wanted to come over here and let y'all know that I will be jumping on here every now and then. I'm going to try to make it consistent and, you know, so we could have an open dialogue. So right now, I'm about to go into phase 2 of part 1. And at this point, please share with a friend, get you some questions, and throw them in the thing right here. Yes, sir, Brother Dez. We do have to work together very soon. I'm going to be on here a lot because I found out that 1 + 1 in my life it equals 2. I'm no Howard, but check it out. So the more of us get together on platforms like this and share information and strengthen our brand so that we can do business together, that's what we call commerce. That's what we call industry. Okay, so working together is a very good thing, and just think it. Give me an example of how powerful working together is, Des. How powerful working together is. I know a lot of folks might say, hey, working together is like having a football team and everybody has their position. Yeah, that's working together for sure. But what if we all don't wear the same jersey? How could we work together if we don't wear the same jersey? How could we work together if we're not on the same franchise team? This is how. I'll give you an example, a little story. So, back in the early 1900s, old dude Ford wanted to make a vehicle. Obviously, he had technology, the means, the factories, the technicians, the engineers to create the world's first automobile. And he created this automobile, but guess what he did not have when he made it, this automobile? He did not have a tire plant. He did not make tires. He did not have the technology, nor did he make radios. He did not have the technology, nor did he make wiper blades. So, how did all of these things get inside of the car? One, I wasn't there a long time ago, but I do know ultimately what happened was he made a partnership with a tire company. Ultimately, he made a partnership with a radio company. So I know when you were a kid, you get buy a brand new car. You could see an adult buy a brand new car. They go to the BMW showroom, they buy a brand new BMW. You look at the car, it's BMW on the shell of the car, but it's Pirelli on the tires, is Bose on the radio system, and it's Coach or something to that effect with the interior. So on this car, you got a BMW. The folks at BMW are known for engineering very nice cars, but they don't know how to make tires. They don't have a tire plant. And all of this nice sound system. They don't have engineers to make some nice sound system, but Bose does. They don't have the best material laying around for the interior, but Coach or Louis Vuitton probably does. So they partner with all of these different companies to make a vehicle that you want. They stay in their lane. They stay in the I made a frame lane. And they partner with other folks to complete their project. So that's the mentality and the mindset that we need to be in, that we can work together without having on the same jerseys. I don't want us to get in each other's way because you over there, I'm over here, you do that, and I do this. Let's find a way that we can do something together, and that's how you create industry. That's how you create industry. Now, think to yourself, how many cars do you see driving around with that Bose system as the sound system? So that means, yeah, Bose can make home sound systems, but they have an additional 250,000 units just driving around mobile because they decided to make that partnership. So that's how that goes. I'm reading a question here. Okay, so Sean just said something very important. Sean from Franchise Box. She said, so people know what I do, who I am, but they don't want to pay me for my services. They want to ask me questions. Maybe, okay, there's a lot to that. And I'll say something, this is my personal belief. Maybe answering questions should become a part of what you do. And as far as a service, maybe, and it's called consultation. I answer questions all of the time. A lot of the time, I answer questions before you ask them to me because I share a lot of information. Because today, just like we learned when we were kids in kindergarten, sharing is caring. The more you share, the more they stare, meaning the more they pay attention to you, the more information that you share. So sharing information is always good, but when it comes to detailed information, strategy and plans and stuff like that, I charge a consulting fee. And so when you're running a business, you also have to realize who your target audience is. And when you realize who your target audience is, you kind of build a profile of them. You kind of build a profile, what their needs, their fears, their desires. Okay? And when you discover what their needs, sometimes their needs is information. Everyone needs information, but sometimes their needs is knowing that they need a budget. Sometimes they don't even realize that they need a budget for some of these things. So, with that being said, make consultation, a deep dive consultation, a part of your services and charge for it. Because if you did all of the hard work, the dirty lifting, and went in, you should be paid for it. But I can say that one of the reasons why I decided to hop on here today is because I would share as much as I could before I would share a lot of the things that I learned with you. With anyone, it's just about where's the cutoff line where you find this information so valuable, now you want a detailed or specifically tailored version of this information and how it can help you specifically. That's when it's time to sit down. So obviously you're doing a great job, Sean, at letting folks know that you exist. Now you just have to get your business model to the point where folks know that that's one of your services that you charge for at a particular point. But sharing information is always good, and having someone ask you a question is always a positive. It's always a good thing. I just want to point that out. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's my view on that. Let's see what we got. This is coming in kind of okay, this is getting a little traction. So, oh, this is a better way where I can see where I can see the questions a little better. So y'all have to bear with me. I haven't sat at this desk prepared to do this in such a long time. I've been kind of knee deep inside of the projects that I've been working on. So that's what it is. All right. Let me see what we got here. What we got here. So if no one has any more questions at this point, I'm going to keep on going. Now, this is a more advanced level of branding. I went over those other things branding earlier today, and just as a recap, I gave the definition of branding, and I gave you all the 5 key elements of branding, which is brand identity, brand image, brand positioning, brand voice and messaging, and brand experience. And I've also gave you 2 examples of those things at a very high level through Nike and Apple. Now, how do we build this branding extravaganza that we want to place inside the minds of the folks that follow our brand? The very first thing to establish all of those 5 things that I just talked about is starting with building what's called a branding kit. Branding kit. Sean say give the 5 elements of branding. The 5 elements of branding, once again, this is the part where you need a pen, because these are the jewels. These are the ingredients. I'll repeat it. Brand identity, brand image, brand positioning, brand voice and messaging, and brand experience. Those are the 5 key elements. All right, now I want to go into branding kits. What is a branding kit? A branding kit is a collection of digital and physical assets that represent your brand. It includes the tools and resources needed to maintain a consistent brand identity. The words, when I say brand, you might as well hear the word brand identity, because the brand is literally the identity, your company's or product's identity. So now I'm about to go over the components of a branding kit. We had 5 elements of branding, and we have 7 components of a branding kit. Number 1, the logo. Number 2, the color palette. Number 3, typography. Number 4, imagery. Number 5, brand voice and messaging. Number 6, templates. Number 7, a style guide. Now, I'm about to go over each one of these. A logo. Now, this right here, building a logo. So, I work with a lot of small businesses that are just getting themselves together. And one thing that I realized with small businesses and entrepreneurs that's getting in the business for the first time, they have to pay for stuff. One of the things that they like to be cheap on, skirt around, and don't give full attention to is the logo. They want to pay $25 for a logo. They want to pay $50 for a logo. And all of that's fine if that's the budget. But they don't really think the logo is important. After all, I don't think you realize the value of a logo. The value of a logo is priceless. The value of a logo, if you can attach dollar signs to it, it could be in the billions. Meaning a logo can get so popular for you that it can generate billions. The Golden Arches is a logo. It generates billions. Billions with a B. That's how important it is. So just imagine the profit they have made since they paid for that logo. I'm not sure how much they paid for that logo. But if they had projected to be $1 billion industry, I'm sure they probably would pay no expense for the logo that can accomplish that branding stability to get $1 billion business. So when you're shopping for a logo, I just want to say this first and foremost, because the cheapest thing that these people want to try to do is skimp on a logo. Now, if you view your business as $100 a per year business, buy you a logo that can generate $100 per year. Perfectly fine. But if you view your business to grow beyond that, you need to invest in a logo that'll get you there. Now, off my rant on that part, now when it comes to a logo, and I'm going to do a whole nother standalone live about logos. But as far as logos, you have to have multiple versions of that logo. Whether it's full color, the black and white version, and the icon only version. What is the icon only version? I'll tell you. So when you pull up to McDonald's, let's use McDonald's. When we pull up to McDonald's, we'll normally see the golden arches sit on top of a red cup or bowl with the words McDonald's written in white letters in the red part. That's the entire logo. That's the icon with the typography, and I'll tell you what typography is in a minute, put together. So that's the entire logo. The icon with the typography put together. Everyone recognizes that. But guess what else everyone recognizes? Let's take a baby, a toddler, a kid 5 years old. Some of them can't read or understand the actual typography of those words. So what they recognize is the golden arches. The golden arches represents McDonald's as a whole without the words. How many times you've seen the golden arches without the red bowl on the bottom and the words McDonald's written out in script? You've seen it 1,000,000 times and you still knew that it was McDonald's. How many times have you seen the Apple logo without the word Apple underneath it? You still knew that it was an Apple product. So having a standalone icon is very important. Color palette. Color palette is important as well. Primary and secondary colors used in all branding material. That's what the color palette is. How do we establish the color palette? Well, in marketing, there is an explanation, and you can look it up. There's a color chart that in marketing that's used to express different feelings, different emotions. And so you go in even different industries. So I would suggest that you go and pull up the marketing color palette and the definitions and explanations for each one of these colors. There's a reason why certain colors are used in different industries. I'll give you 2 examples. The restaurant industry, and we're going back to McDonald's, believe it or not, very popular color palette for restaurant industries are yellow and red. That's true. Very popular color scheme for the corporate world is blue and white. That's why you see the likes of Facebook that's blue and white, Chase Bank blue and white. So, and then so on and so forth. So I would suggest finding the color chart that is used in marketing, because each one of these colors represent a different energy, a different feeling, and it helps with when you're trying to convey a message through your logo. Now, mind you, your logo is like how you want your best friend to be. You know how they say a good friend is somebody that can have my back behind my back. I don't have to be in a room for them to speak up for me. That's how you want your logo to be. You want your logo to be able to represent your company, represent you, and represent everything you stand for without you being around. That's how strong that logo got to be. So the color palette, those colors help establish that by having your message and your vibe. Okay? Typography. So the typography, you heard me use that word a few minutes ago in relation to the word McDonald's that's underneath the golden arches. That's the typography. That, in simple words, that's the fonts that is used for headings, body text, and any other text. That's the typography. Imagery, the guidelines for photos, illustrations, and graphics. So all of these things are a part of a branding kit. The imagery. The imagery, like I said, is the guideline for photos, illustrations, and graphics. Why is that important? Let's go back to Nike as far as imagery goes. Every time you see a Nike ad or something like that, you see people, the images that they use are images of triumph, are images of, tenacity, grit, let's get it done. So all the time you see images, you just might see a distance runner at the starting line, kneel down with his Nike running shoes. You might see a video of a distance runner reaching the finish line, breaking the finish line ribbon across his chest, wearing Nike running shoes. So every time you see these images and you see these pictures, you realize that it has a connection to competing, to winning, to finishing. Imagery is very important. That's why when you go on a cruise and you open up a pamphlet or you go on a website, it's people having fun and smiling. There's no pictures of people looking angry. You have to convey what they'll get when they experience your experience. I come from the clubs, and I used to be very careful of the imagery I put on the flyer. Very careful of what imagery I put on the flyer, because I remember one time I put a big booty girl on the flyer. Big booty girl on the flyer. And that night, somebody that I know came to me and said, "Where are the big booty girls?" Because of the image that I use promoting the party. So you have to be very careful of what represents your party. I know that was kind of offhand, but it is applicable in a lot of situations. Imagery is very important. Okay, brand voice and messaging. That's examples of the tone and the key message. It's pretty much how you want to deliver your messages. Some companies use humor. Some companies are very direct and educational. Some companies use messaging that are very calm and relaxed. Some companies use very hip messaging. Very hip messaging. So it all depends on how you want to make that connection with your customer base, with your target audience. Templates. Templates are very important because we, as humans, we kind of learn by repetition. So the more you see the same thing, the more you understand what that thing represents. So templates are great so that you can have a cohesive look to your brand. Next, from everything from your business cards to your letterheads to your social media posts to what's on your website. All of those things have to match. You can't have a professional website with your products and stuff and with one logo, and then social media presence with pictures of your family being on vacation. There's no logo. There's no information about your business. You want everything to be cohesive. And then last but not least, number 7, which is a style guide. Now, the style guide kind of brings all of these things together. It's the document outlining how to use all of these elements consistently. How and when to use all of these elements consistently. So that's the style guide. Any questions? Let me see what we got. Sean said, this is excellent information. Thank you for that. And thank you for even bringing this topic up. Obviously, that is an important topic to folks. And I want to share this information. How long I've been recording? It don't even make a difference. I'm in flow right now. Yeah. Let's get this cracking. Let me see what we have. Any questions before I proceed? Any questions before I proceed? Okay, I guess it's time for a public service announcement. My name is Dwight D'nilla Woods. You are watching what will ultimately be the show, and people call me Dr. Marketingstein, where brand, design, and print wellness matters. It's all about sharing information, building strong brands and businesses. One thing I don't know if y'all know about, but about 4 years ago, when the pandemic hit, do you realize how many small and Black businesses came into fruition? And it wasn't because everybody graduated from business school. So many Black, brown, and small BIPOC businesses were established within the last 5 years, and it's not because a lot of folks graduated from business school. What people realized was that they have a natural skill, talent, or service, and they should get paid for it, and I don't blame them. But what does not come with that is instructions on how to accomplish these things. So I've been around a little bit, so I'm going to share some of the information with you. Where I'm from, when I share information, it's called being a poor righteous teacher, and that's all I'm being. So I'm going to share this information with you, and ultimately it can lead up to an intersection where you and I, you and him and him, him and her and him can do business together. That's what this is all about. So stuff like this is the community gym. We can all come here and get strong. This is the community gym. I want to talk about creating a brand kit for your company. So the first thing that we need to do to create a brand kit for your company, and I'm going to stop it after this because I did say it's part 1, but one of the first things we need to do when we create a brand kit for our company is define your brand. Anybody on here that has a business, anybody that's paying attention to me right now that have a business, drop what your business is or your service in the comment section below. That's what I want you to do. If you have a business or service, drop that business or service in the comments. That's what I want to do first. Am I putting y'all to sleep yet? Because unfortunately, it's all fun when we're making the money. It's all fun and creative when we're coming up with the products. And it's all fun when we're at the pop-up shops and we're smiling and all those type of things. But sometimes folks think it's a drag or a painful duty to go and learn the things that they need to know to grow their business. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it moving. All right, pull out your pens because I got another, I'm finna break down some detailed stuff here. Yeah, draw. And it's called Creating a Brand Kit for Your Company. Sean, you still there? Sean, if you still there, drop a 1. Drop 1 in the comment. Let me know you still there. Once again, my name is Dwight D'nilla Woods. I am the owner of Dr. Marketingstein Digital Agency and Customs. I'm a marketing agency that is very interested in the health and wealth of your business in my business. And I'm here to share helpful tips and information on how to do so. So this particular topic, branding, comes from today's topic, was inspired by Sean over at Franchise Box. Okay. Now that I got a refill on my coffee, I'm gonna spin out. Okay. Creating a branding kit for your company. Excuse me for keep looking down, but I bought these notes because this is a valuable information. So there's 7 things that I want to cover in creating a branding kit for your business, for your company. 1, define your brand. 2, design the logo. 3, choose a color palette. 4, select typography. 5, develop brand messaging. 6, create the visual guidelines. And 7, compile everything. So what I just explained to you, the reason why this has 7 steps is because these are in relation to the last 7 things that I talked about, which was branding kits. So these are the details on how to get this brand kit made. If you follow these general guidelines and add your specific stuff to it, you'd have a branding kit. So number 1, define your brand. Start by understanding your brand's missions, values, and target audience. What makes your brand unique? So I'm going to ask you, Sean, you dropped in the comments that your services are event planning / marketing. I'm gonna ask you a question here, put you on Front Street a little bit. What is the mission? What is the mission? First of all, state the name of your business here in the comments. State the name of your business in the comments, and then also tell me what is the mission of your business doing these things. Okay, I'm gonna pick on you real quick. And this is a good thing because a lot of times we're so creative, and sometimes services and products come natural to us. But what doesn't come natural to us is how to relay it to the rest of the world, how to find the folks that it will impact, and how to define what problems of the world would it solve. Yes, we have to find out what problems in the world that our product or service will solve, pretty much. Sounds heavy. Okay, so I got to answer. Franchise box, results in action. That's the end game. That's the end game. That's a very good answer. Your brand mission is results in action. Okay. Results in action for who? Sean. So we're going to kind of play this out in real time, really quick. Results in action for who? And when I say for who, I'm speaking of your target audience. Who's your target audience who you want to produce these results in action for? So while she's doing that answer, the reason why I want to go over these things is because sometimes we don't have we have the answer, but it's not realized and it's not written down on paper simply because no one ever asked the question. So I'm going to ask the questions so that we can answer those questions. Who is your target market? Everyone on here, as a matter of fact, if you have a business, drop your business and answer the question, what is your brand's mission? Okay. Sean said, people who want to start their business or expand their business or rebrand. Awesome. So, if I caught you on an elevator and you only had 3 seconds to answer that question, would it be safe to say that your target audience are business owners? Would it be safe to say that? If you can boil it down to one word, would it be safe to say that your target audience are business owners? All of this is going to come to something in a second. So, and if the case that the target audience is business owners, what we'd have to do is go into the mind of business owners. We have to find out what challenges business owners have in their day-to-day business ownership. And we have to align our services and our products to help remedy some of the challenges that they have. So I'm Dr. Marketingstein. So you bring your business into me. When your business ain't doing it so good, I'm the doctor that you come see. When your business is doing so good, you want it to do great, I'm the doctor that you come see. So what does a doctor do? Come in, client comes in, I take the temperature of your business, brand audit. I listen to you tell me the symptoms of your ailing business. And with that information I got from you, along with my test, I know what medicine or strategy I have in my toolbox to suggest to you. So that's how I can point exactly what's wrong with you and give you a specific solution. Otherwise, I'd walk in, don't ask you any questions, and just tell you everything that I said. That'll be confusing. Okay, so time and management. So, awesome. So it seems like Sean Anderson, Sean just broke it down. So I asked her, what was her brand's mission? I asked her what was her services. It's event planning and marketing. Then she says, she produces results in action. And then I asked a little bit about her client base, which are folks that want to start a business or a rebrand. And the solution, what her services does, it helps business owners with time management. And that's huge, because if you own a business, one thing you would know that one of the most important things to a business owner is time. And if you can help them manage their time, you are probably doing one of the biggest services that you can do, because you probably saw me on here several times saying, you see a business owner, but what you really see is the security guard, the maintenance man, shipping and receiving guy, What else am I? I'm the CEO. I'm the brand ambassador. Yeah, I deal with all of it. So my time is stretched. So if I can find someone, this personally speaking, so what you just said even resonate with me as a businessman. Helping me buy my time back, that's huge. So that's huge. So the reason why I brought all of that up is because understanding your brand and being able to articulate your brand by understanding your brand's mission, understand your brand's values. Now that's huge. Understanding your brand's values. Pretty much what your brand will and won't do. Why they would do what they do and why they won't do what they won't do. My business, the values that I have in my business, all of this, share with everybody, break down silos. That's one of the values that my business have. Why? It's because I saw business in action before I saw business in action on a local level before I was introduced to business in action on a broader, more commercial scale. My introduction to entrepreneurship and business started with watching my auntie in Agale Gardens sell snacks, pops, and chips, you know, the whole Dorito ground beef hookup, the whole 9 yards. And I would watch her sell out. But I thought at first, as a kid, I thought, man, she's selling out this junk food because kids love junk food. That's what I thought at first. Like, this is nothing special. But I realized that that's not why it was so successful. I realized it was successful because there was no other spot at the time that was close enough and safe enough that kids could go to and get some snacks at an affordable price. So she had this location right over by the swings. I don't know what block that was, but all the kids could walk to Miss E house. All the kids could walk to Miss E house and get these snacks. They didn't have to go to the store far away or whatever, however it was. So she was solving a problem for kids, actually. Then another element, when it was time to re-up, several times I got in the car with her and I watched her go back and re-up. And several times when I watched her go back and re-up, she would put things in a cart that I never saw her buy before. And I say, why are you getting those? She said, one of the kids asked me for it. More than one kid asked me for it. Obviously, this new candy is popular. Then, my mother, smack down in the middle of Inglewood, in the middle of Motown, ran a business from her front porch. She sold plates. She sold the Doritos with the ground beef, the whole 9 yards. And now I was older and I realized that, yeah, it's places where these folks could walk up the street to get food, but why are they stacked up in front of her house? And I never forget, a good brother, I call him the mayor of the neighborhood, he once stood on the porch and said, Mama, you know what? You should sell some beef ribs. This is how it all started when it comes to the plates. And the first weekend she made the beef ribs, they disappeared like hotcakes. Now, before we was used to walking to 51st Street to the last resort restaurants and getting gyros and all of those things. But when the community asked for something specific, she met the need because she realized there was a need. So not only was it the convenience of being on the block, but it was specifically what they asked for. They didn't have to settle for what they could eat at these other restaurants. They were pretty much getting what they asked for. So And then I started going with her to watch her re-up. Supply and demand. So some of these are the very first basic exposures I had to business. And it was based on community and knowing folks. So a lot of the values I have right now in my business are based off of those values. First and foremost, supplying something that is needed to the folks that are closest to me, because those are the folks that I understand the most. And then when I start having something to offer for folks that are not closest to me, I learned that I have to reach my message to those who are not closest to me to let them know I have a solution and a connection point for them as well. So, once again, defining a brand, it takes a lot. Your brand story. So I just kind of gave you a part of my backdrop of my brand story. Start by understanding your brand's mission, your brand's values, and your target audience. My auntie knew her target audience. That's why she kept buying those different types of candies. What makes your brand unique? What makes you stand out from the crowd? What you're gonna do different than somebody else gonna do? It could be little stuff. 2 bottles of vodka, sit next to each other, same alcohol content, tastes pretty much the same, but one of the bottled vodkas always give you an incentive because they give you the free shot glass. And you could be known as the vodka that gives a free shot glass every single time. That makes you unique. It's part of your packaging, still your branding. So think about that. Define your brand. And you have to think of all of those things. What makes you unique, the target audience, the values, and your mission. 2, design the logo. This is a touchy point for me, so I'm going to do a whole rundown on another episode about logo, but design your logo. I'm going to leave it simple. Create a logo that encapsulates your identity, and consider hiring a professional designer. Trust me, because that's important. Choose a color palette. So you select the colors that reflect your brand's personality and resonate with your audience, and it also have to be memorable. Select typography. Pick fonts that are readable and align with your brand style. Develop brand messaging. Craft key messages in a tone of voice that communicates your brand values and appeals to your audience. Create visual guidelines. Establish rules on how images, graphics, and other visual elements should look and be used. So that means when you come up with your logo, consider how it looks in the 2 extremes. How would it look on a billboard in Times Square? How would it look on a billboard in downtown Chicago? How would it look on a billboard in LA? Also consider how would it look on a profile picture that's on everyone's phone. What looks great on a billboard sometimes don't look great on a thumbnail or a profile picture. What looks great on a profile picture or a thumbnail sometimes won't translate as well on a billboard. So it's very important that you consider how your logo would look in any scenario. Also consider how it would look on merchandise, on a pen, on a shirt, on a sweater, on a hat. So make sure your typography is readable. You can take all the creative liberty in the world with a logo, but make sure the words are readable. Create visual guidelines. Okay? That's what that means. And then compile everything. So you compile the definition of your brand. You compile the design of the logo. You compile the fonts that you're going to run with, and those in the establishment of your visual guidelines. And you compile all that together. Gather all of these elements into a comprehensive branding kit that can be easily accessed and used by anyone creating materials for your brand. So when you do go to a printing company for apparel, for cups, bags, hats, jackets, billboards, wrapped vehicle, all of the information that they would need. You have all the information that they would need to reproduce or print or publish your brand. So, yeah. So I have a couple more things that I want to go into, but I'm going to cut it off right now for part one. Any questions, please drop them into the comments and I will cover those on part two. But this is part one of branding your business. It's a community conversation. My name is Dwight D'nilla Woods, also known as Dr. Marketingstein, where brand, design, and print wellness matters. I am here to share information with you on how to build a strong and successful brand. I specialize in marketing strategy, branding, print, design, and other things. So you can follow me at Dr. Marketingstein Digital Agency and Customs on all platforms, Facebook, here, Twitter, and Instagram. And I also am at www.drmarketingstein.com. And yeah, so I'm gonna try to do this as frequently as possible. And the next time we are joined over here for part two of branding, I'm going to be talking about tips for building a memorable brand, as well as give you some resources, some books, some websites, some courses, and some communities to join to get some support. And I'll end. Peace.